Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we have another Wargame Red Dragon match. The same friend group here, and this time the teams are a little bit switched, so I'm playing the same team as Justin, and we're fighting against Lowing and his French deck, as well as Vimes with his USA deck. I'm playing this time as the USSR, and my ally Justin is playing as, I believe, the Czechoslovakians. So right away I am moving up, trying to capture Elena. We're going to stay a little bit zoomed out here, just talking about the strategic elements at start. I'm hoping to capture Elena, draw my opponent's attention to this side of the field, and allow my ally to secure Gregory, Michael, Leonid without undue opposition. We do expect fighting in Gregory. That is sort of a bit of an infantry mosh pit usually. Can be a little bit hectic, but we're hoping to sort of secure the middle here, past Sheridan, and really push them back onto their side of the field and center, and hopefully in Fetter as well. So we'll have to see how that goes. KA-29 TBs carrying the first of my men forward, and supported by an Mi-24V and an Mi-2. I did stop the Mi-24V because marching blind into the enemy is never a good thing. Puma Pirates and a Gazelle Cannon tells me that there are paratroopers for the French as well in this area, confirming I am fighting against Lowing and Justin's fighting against Vimes. There's an MH-60L DAP here, but having seen those Puma Pirates and the Gazelle Cannon, I cautiously move up here a little bit, hoping to get a kill on at least one of their recon vehicles off the bat, sort of neutering their early operations in the area. BRDM-3s moving up, and a little bit of infantry to secure this town here, as well as more infantry on the ground, moving up to support those early Morskaya Pechota. What I really wanted to stop was them landing on our side of Elena, because if they'd been unopposed, they could have dropped on this side, and that would have been a catastrophe. We do see more infantry moving up and a couple things going this way toward the east off the bat as well, and I try and chase those with the KA-29, but not too much success there, and unfortunately those Puma Pirates do manage to escape my Mi-24. But the KA-29s do get a good kill. Those were Parrot Pathfinders, now laying dead on the ground, so I believe, what, 25-30 points there? Nothing too shabby. Unfortunately, well, we're not going to have too much success in the center for a little bit, but that's just sort of how things go. So something shoots at my Motostrelki. I don't know what it is. I don't even really see it in time to respond. Humvees, so probably that would be, yep, light riflemen with their super dragons shooting at 1925 meter range. Excellent fire support here, and my Motostrelki don't stand a chance on the open ground. The RDM's getting a little bit of return fire in, but I mean, what, we killed a Humvee? We killed 2 Humvees? Yeah, great job. There's an M3A2 Bradley. We're going to be toast with that. My KA-29 TPs did get killed as well, getting a little bit aggressive here on the eastern side, but I thought maybe just make him think, maybe make him panic a little bit, and I'm going to very soon need to secure this eastern side, or what my opponent could do, and actually probably should have done at this point, is push through these woods and try to get to my reinforcement rounds, because if you can contest these woods, that would be extremely difficult to fight out of for me, and he would cut off my reinforcements here as well, forcing me back onto this sort of highlands if I want any reasonable defensive position. My ally here, Justin, is having a bit of trouble getting some of his troops forward, so an initial defensive point in Jot, and we did miscommunicate a little bit, so we both capped Jot. He's capped Leonid, but nothing over here. It's a little bit worrisome as far as I'm concerned, and you know, it's the early game. It's going to be a little bit undermanned compared to optimal, just because this is a pretty wide map and we have to have everything covered. So another comment here as well, had paratroopers come into Gregory, this could have very well been driving into an ambush. It's kind of lucky for us that's not what that was. But now there are proletari here in 2 different groups, as well as Granikari. I'm not sure if I said that correctly, probably didn't, but that will at least hold the town decently well. The lesson that I'm trying to harp on, this one took me a long ass time to learn, I still haven't really sufficiently, is aggression is kind of good sometimes. Motostrelki up here do get a cheeky kill on transport of my opponents, starting to shoot at those Commandos Para as well, and that's because they weren't expected to be that far forward. So we'll go back to speed 1, as we now do have a couple engagements. Legion fighting with Morskaya Pechota. These guys have 15 strength, that's why they're in the front lines, and we are now getting some rocket pod support from Mi-24Vs. As well, the infantry for Vimes, having encountered resistance, aren't able to capture this hill. Well, not this hill, they're on a hill. They aren't able to capture this town, which, I mean, this sort of bounds the engagement, right? So there's a little bit of fighting going on here, but I'm outnumbered and outgunned by US Marines. So I'm going to fall back, hold at this line. My ally will hold sort of at this line, and then I've now desperately pinged a defense symbol here just to say we need at least eyes over that way. We were talking in Discord, but I wanted to really ping that because we have a lot in the center, but had there been a push over in the west, we would be fighting over Constantine by now, and that would have been catastrophic. Now it is worth mentioning, wait, hold on, Spetsnaz. Oh yeah, look at that fire. That comes, of course, off of the napalm launcher from the Spetsnaz. 525 meter range means that it can engage, and the primary weapon does engage as well, and 5 HE is truly punishing. But we are losing right now. We are at -2, so our opponents are at +2 ticking. This is Conquest, not Destruction. I tend to prefer Conquest for a lot of reasons, but you know, we do sometimes play Destruction. It tends to get to be a bit of a win more thing, so whoever gets more income at the start just sort of crushes, although I mean, value trading is worth something, but it's not worth something if there's just too many to stop. So there's more coming in here, and I've begun to notice that what's killing me in these woods are coming from vines. What's killing me in this town is coming from lowing. I'm being focused, so at least in that sense, our strategy is working a little bit. Yak 141 was just to show them, hey, I have an ASF, don't bomb me. Kind of ironically, I order the evac right as the bomber comes in, which might have been intentional on my opponent's part, and I find that to be quite hilarious. Of course, he is going in after NTLBVs that I knew were spotted by the Gazelle. I was hoping that they'd draw some attention, and I mean, hey, better that he bombs 5-point transports than my infantry positions, at least. But we're drawing so much of their attention, that's probably why there's not much going on in Gregory, Michael, and Leonid right now. That will change as time goes forward. I'm trying to get a bit of a cheeky kill here with the Skrezhets, going after that MH60 DAP. In hindsight, I should have just kept them back to prevent an offensive. We do also have an M1A1 Abrams. I'd love to watch this thing shoot. Let's see. Come on, give me a shot. There it is. Beautiful. Unfortunately for me, he's taking out some of my units, and we can see those dead Skrezhets on the ground here. But, I mean, that's always a pleasure to watch. So, I have Motostrelki moving around the eastern side of the woods and finally getting to the town here. My intention was see if I could cut off some of the reinforcements, see if I could handle something that killed one of my BTR-90s earlier, which was, I believe, an ATGM team. Motostrelki can kill those two-man teams pretty easily, and now we do have some fighting going on here. Light Rifleman, Twin Hueys making short work of my ally, and this sort of tells us, okay, now it is coming. They are going through Gregory as well. We're going to have to watch out. But an Antandar goes down to a Yak 141, and that, at least, is definitely a good thing for us. Oof. And he's dropped plummeted at the ground. I love watching this poor unfortunate pilots. We have also stopped the bleeding, as now I have secured Sheraton. We do have a little bit of redundancy here as well, still just not talking to each other, but it is what it is. And now that I have a Yak circling, we should be able to tamp down on those bombers just a little bit. I actually moved the Motostrelki, but my opponent expected that, and we still took it on the chin, so not exactly ideal, but it's just an ATGM team. We should be kind of okay-ish. It's interesting though, they're shown us strength 2 on the tooltip, but strength 1, okay, there, they did lose a man. And yeah, here it comes. I can also see French reinforcements coming in, 3 groups, probably Legion, given that that is sort of Lowing's favorite French infantry unit, for good reason. They're very powerful. But we do have a Biryusa that takes down one of these helicopters. I think that was a Tiger of some sort, not really sure. But the infantry have disembarked, another bombing run comes in, which is very painful. And I know that I'm going to lose this position. My hope is these Morskaya Pechota can get up there before it really becomes catastrophic, but we'll have to see if that happens. I also see Chaparrals coming in, Cobras coming in, and I realize, okay, Vimes is trying to create basically an anti-air cordon in these woods that will keep me from effectively using my fighters and my bombers in that area, and I don't even... It takes me a while to realize exactly how effective he's been with that. Morskaya Pechota moving up, but unfortunately for us, a little bit too late. So the BTR-90, way too aggressive here. I was hoping to shoot at those Legion with his grenade launcher, but VABs are very effective, and we even took fire from across the bridge, probably from a tank as well, so that gets nipped in the bud pretty quick, and my infantry are very much in over their heads. So Motostrelki finally dying. Morskaya Pechota actually doing pretty well considering. I mean, the Legion are panicked, that's probably why. Panic shaken, panic worried. These guys were probably the ones that got shot at from the BTR-90. But now supporting fire from the VABs is coming in, and numbers are starting to tell. There's also a Raven coming in. It's worth noting that I had the Berusa's guns off for most of the time. That way they wouldn't be picked up by seaplanes. The one in the back is, but I think that was a known trap. Because, should you come back for here, I had a yak circling. It wasn't going to survive that into Berusa's that I could turn on behind him. So, Motostrelki go down. The Morskaya Pechota, I do something I kind of regret here in a little bit. I'd split these. I should have just let them keep firing those RPGs at the Vabs, because, they're doing some pretty effective work, but after that one misses, and that one misses, I kind of think to myself, okay, these guys are panicked, their accuracy is in the toilet, let's try and split them, maybe save one. M3 Bradley CFV, 45 points, scout vehicle moving up, and yeah, Vimes loves his Bradleys. I'm not a big fan, I can never really get great use out of them, but I can tell you firsthand, he does, and it hurts. There is something moving up here, I'm not really sure what it is, but BRDM-3 moves to counter it. I think it was just a Vab trying to explore if it was possible to move up that way. Now, of course, we have sealed it with scout vehicles. Yak coming in, and... oh, swing and a miss. That one's a hit, but the plane does get out, unfortunately, and evac ordered from the Yak. At this point in time, I can see that some good work was done there, but still not really too tight of an AA cordon, so we can still operate for now. Raven was able to get my Viryusa, unfortunately, so I have lost my own AA net, and this Antandar is coming in. I waited for him to drop and then moved, but that move was actually expected, and bombs are right on target. There go my Morskaya Pechota. Now we just have Motostrelki and Spetsnaz guarding this, as well as some VDV and Scratchets that I've moved up but completely forgot about, microwing the other things, so they'll be moving up soon. BRDM-3 versus an AH-1J Cobra. Rocket pods are wonderful for stunning vehicles like this, and yep, there's the kill. So we are getting pushed back a little bit, and right now I'm getting a little bit worried. We're at 0-0, so either I need to secure Elena or my ally needs to secure Gregory/Michael. We were talking a little bit. I was pretty convinced Michael would be well within enemy hands by this point, because we're 15 minutes in. I would have expected that from our opponents. As it turns out, maybe not so much, and there are mortar fire, singular, plural is hard. There is some mortar fire coming in, fortunately for us shooting at nothing. I think this was the Biryusa's last known position, so we just wanted to make sure that it had died well and truly, and now we have T-72s moving up, along with a capture vehicle. Yep, so there's the enemy fire. It looks like probably a light rifleman, single point of damage coming into the T-72s is sort of indicative of that. This one, though, that's a pretty good shot, because low AP against the side armor of these T-72s will be able to do something. Only 8 side armor, so, pretty decent work there. I see these US Marines coming up, my ally does as well, and we realize this town not being held is going to be a problem. Another Entendar coming in, but now we do finally have infantry moving up VDV around the eastern side. Another Yak coming out, and they just got so many kills this game. It was really heartening on my side, I think, to see that. There was also cluster artillery fire coming in to answer those repeated mortar attacks, so many thanks to you, Justin, for that, with that double group of cluster arty Horcons. It's brutal. I'll chew through that 5.5 seconds, though. So, seeing the stalemate sort of last for a little while, I do call in command infantry in a KA-29, KA-29 TB. It's really just because I like the rocket pods on that thing. They're kind of useful after you bring them in anyway. And yep, here's the attack marker saying we really need to secure this this town, because I think the opponent is, and this is going to be a crucial thing to control to prevent them from being able to split Michael and Leonid and retake Michael from us pretty easily. VDV do get a nice kill there, and I think shortly here another one as well. No, BRDM is shooting in, and we spot an enemy command vehicle that is manually targeted from the BRDM-3, which otherwise would have been shooting at Chausseau. And there we go. 110 points, I think, around there, down. And here comes another Gazelle Celtic, but I don't have anything in position. My Tungushka is moving up, but it's not there yet. Fortunately for us, though, these Celtics only carry a Mistral missile. I'm not really sure why he was pushed up this aggressively, because there was nothing to fend off. But, the MH-60L DAP is a bit more understandable, right? This thing has a twin M230, has twin miniguns. This can survive, that DAP can provide pretty good supporting fire against infantry as well. VDV do spot the Crotal, and there it goes, 60 points there. The VDV themselves are 25 each, 50 for the group. So that was pretty good. Legion actually doing surprisingly well against us. I think that's going to be... Well, no, these guys aren't Legion 90, so they don't have the mini-me, but still, very nice work. Mortar fire coming in, as well as going to panic, and even just kill some of the VDB in this grouping. Yep, we lose one, only one left, and yet another failed push. So I do have several units of infantry back here. I'm kind of just deciding what I want to do with them right now, because this is not really that effective. There's an AMX-10 up here. I mean, there's a lot going on, and I don't want to send men needlessly to die. Now we do have some infantry coming up from Justin. These are, I think, intended for that center town, so we'll have to watch that in just a minute. But Monostrelki, just cheap and easy infantry to fill the gap and make sure that this town looks like a really hardened target that my opponent won't be able to get through. So there is a Rafale, and these guys, I mean, absolute monsters of air superiority fighters, 180 points and worth every single one of them. In fact, I think arguably 5 points undercosted for that performance there. But I get a little bit cheeky here. This is a Yak 140, 140 points, strictly worse than the Rafale. But I sort of want to bait an engagement, because if I can get him over the Tunguska or over the Biryusa, that might be able to take him down. So I grab my Yak, and here we go. There's the dive. First missiles on the way, and evac ordered. I really don't want to go over his airspace with that. We do actually tag him with one of those missiles and avoid damage ourselves, just because he was turning, wasn't able to fire a second one. And, I mean, hey, that worked out kind of okay, but he didn't take the bait, so no kill for us. Justin has now secured this town, Leche Pechota, Graniciari. I think maybe, yeah, these are the US Marines that were up there for a long time. I think maybe it was assumed that this town was in our control, and so those weren't pursued. But T-72 is getting some decent long-range shots here. Nope, vision blocked. Actually taking a bit of fire. Those probably should have been resupplied. But Graniciari spotting the US Marines. Yeah, and this is what I meant earlier. Had our opponent pushed forward for that town, had they pushed forward into this part of the trees, instead of a stalemate sort of fight in this area, this would be an uphill battle for us, which they very much needed to force us into. AMX-10 and Commandos Para still securing Elena for our opponents, and Yak 38s come in. This was a bit of a bad move, so that's something. I think that was, yep, several chaparrals, 1, 2, 3 separate chaparrals shooting at my Yaks, and I do lose one of them. Puma Pirates coming in just to see if they can spot my Tunguska, probably for these bombing runs here, but I don't really know why they're pulled back. A bit of a puzzle, that one. I think maybe he saw the Tunguska and thought they wouldn't get out, but I don't know. I mean, dive bombing a Tunguska with a 50-point bomber would definitely be worth it. In the meantime, our Monostrelki have been absolutely melted by Commandos Para, and that's the foregone conclusion, right? Shock infantry with very good weaponry against line infantry, very much without similarly good weaponry. So US Marines trying to push forward now. I think they weren't expecting to be spotted there in the woods, and they're just getting absolutely mulched. Look at that. Supporting fire from T-72s, from vehicles from Proletari, and one of those two groups got absolutely demolished. So there is another Celtic moving up. It does kill my Ka-29, but I actually consider that a worthwhile trade, because first one misses, second one gets the kill, and down goes that helicopter. Wow, he's gone a long way. Jeez. I don't know if they just don't have animations for landing in water. I think they do. Yeah, there it is. Oh, quite a spin. And the Vasilevsk does have answering fire, so had I left my Tunguska where he was, he would have been counterfired a little bit. And sometimes that'll do no damage, sometimes that'll be enough to kill. It's a little too hard to tell. Jaguar A comes in, but still this is a good thing about Tungushkas. Those missiles, those really, really deadly 3,325 meter range missiles, are not radar guided, so you can turn off the radar gun and keep the missiles. It's absolutely wonderful. Monostrelki fighting against Legion, but they do manage to get an RPG shot on the AMX-10, which, hey, that's pretty good. Better performance than I expected, to be honest, at this point. It's a little harsh, but it's true, come on. T-64 and VDV fighting Rangers, and I decide, I'm a little bit unhappy about the number of chaparrals in this area. Maybe it's something I can handle. I had completely forgotten at this point about the M1A1 Abrams that I had seen previously moving up this way. So we do get momentary success. Also, I try to push up this way, but unfortunately killed. And I'm feeling a little bit exposed here. I do have a T-80A, I do have a Tunguska, but I don't really have more than one scout, barely any guns left. It's not exactly great. And we do take a shot, 9 points of damage. That should tell you right away when you're fighting against a USA deck that someone has a Patriot on the field, which will very quickly make our lives very ugly indeed. So, yeah, I mean, this was just stupid on my part. I took the T80A and I thought to myself, okay, well, when you're weak and you can feign strength, sometimes it works out. So I decided, okay, we're going to push the T80A forward. If I can take out that AMX with T80A, I mean, it's not a valuable trade here, but maybe it's worth something, and maybe it'll kind of threaten them a little bit. In the meantime, a bomber has come in, and Bradley was used, and the M1A1 Abrams firing away, and actually, I think soon killing this Biryusa, just flattening my push through those woods completely. Very nice job there, Vines, preventing me from getting to those ooey gooey chaparrals in backline. I mean, that is the sort of thing that can tip the scales, right? If you can get a couple kills on very expensive support pieces, those pieces are now gone, and those points are now gone as well. Heavy Hogs taken out by a Strop 2. I love this thing. It's absolutely amazing. It's like a non-radar Tunguska with a little bit lighter range, right? So the gun, I think actually the gun is the same range, 2800 meter range gun. Yeah, same range gun. It's much cheaper. The missiles are worse, but it's not radars. The Strop 2, very, very powerful AA piece in my own estimation anyway. And this is an interesting thing. So two T-72M2 Modernas, they're 160 points each, and they're called out in the same group. So we'll come back to that when it becomes relevant again, but that's 320 points in one single spot. Yak 121 going in after that radar Jaguar. Unfortunately, now there are two Patriots on the ground, and between that and the Celtic, yeah, we kind of got wrecked. And now this position is well overexposed. I'm moving Tunguska back, hoping to resupply with the Urals here. I only have, well, I don't have any missiles left at all, which is why that Tiger Hat is still alive. But, yep, there go the Urals, and we have a decent firing concave here, so we're keeping the French at bay. I mean, it's bogged down a little bit. We've secured Atlanta, we've been out of +2 for a while, and finally overtaken our opponents in terms of points. So they need to countercap Michael, they need to they need to cap Gregory. This not being capped when they controlled someone to the zone was a bit odd. They probably should have done that way sooner, right? Because if we'd been out of +1 instead of +2, we'd still be far below their capture point. Only 16 minutes left. That would have put the pressure on me and Justin far more than it currently was. So it's conquest. You cannot forget the conquest part of it. If you do, even if you trade well, it's going to be a hard-fought match. So there's something else moving up this way. I don't have any idea what it is at this point, but I know it's a tank, and probably a good one. So let's just go to neutral for a second. This is, in fact, a Brennus. So 65 points. Bit of a workhorse vehicle here, but the same BRDM-3, and just to remind you guys, this is a 35-point scout vehicle, is able to get side shots, doing the same sort of armor exploitation that those light riflemen on the west did earlier against my ally. And there's the stun, there's the kill. Love to see it. Well, I do anyway. BTR-90 is moving up. Now these are also carrying Spetsnaz, but Spetsnaz GRU, which are the scout versions. I actually like them better. They're a bit more multi-purpose, given that they have anti-tank weapons instead of napalm launchers, I suppose. But Legion 90 taking it on the chin, and here comes something a little interesting. So helicopters moving up. That was another Celtic. There's another Gazelle here. Tunguska resupplied and puts that gun back on, although not necessary. So we have two helicopters going down for the price of one, and this is just I've never really seen two of them spin around like that, go down at the same time so far away from each other, right? Because usually if you get two kills so close together, it's a pretty tightly coordinated thing. Elena has been countercapped. That slows our advantage from a +2 to a +1, but now we are able to be on the defensive and be just fine with it, so we have the points to do that. Tunguska's gun comes back on, and there goes a Mirage. Beautiful plane, but bit of a ignoble ending, shall we say. And Motostrelki were advancing under the cover of the Skrejet and MT LBV, but still taking absolutely devastating fire from those Legion. We have a bit of an attempt. That was a Tiger Had. It was attempting to go after the Tunguska. Really shouldn't. I mean, it can definitely be tempting to try and get those cheeky kills sometimes, but sending something up against its relative hard counter is never a good idea in an RTS game like this. So we do have an AH-1J Cobra headed over this way, US Marines as well, and this has to strike you as the prelude to an attack, and indeed, here it comes. Light Rifleman out of the woods, Cobra opening up with his rocket pods. 2 more helicopters back here as well. And we do have supports just from the high ground with these Svatava and T-72s. They're a little bit out of range, and these heavy hogs and cobras are just absolutely shredding Proletary and Lechet Pechota that probably would have been able to fend off these infantry on their own. So, seeing this, and we were coordinating with each other pretty heavily. 2 Yak-38 bombers are coming out. Right now we have 2 double squads of light riflemen 90 and a single bit of US Marines from the east, as well as a double squad of US Marines from the west. Just absolutely killing this position. Here come the bombers. And on the way, 1, 2, 3, 4 bombs each. Beautiful. Absolutely stunning. Well, literally in this case. So the light riflemen go down, US Marines able to survive, but that was very much not pretty. And Gregory is being countercapped by both of us now. Justin with his command infantry, and Vimes probably with command infantry as well, although it could have been a vehicle. So, meanwhile, in the east we have BTR-90s surprisingly losing a fight to AMX-10Ps. These are 15-point transports. Of course, the BTRs are 30-point transports, but those main guns on the 10Ps just fire a little bit faster. It's able to get the work done, right? So we're panicked, he's panicked. I was kind of surprised by this, but that last volley stuns my BTR, and here comes a French push. So we've been sitting pretty for a little while, able to be relatively confident here, but my infantry have been worn down, and Spetsnaz Gru are up there, but my BTR-90s have been taken out. Tungushka's up here, but that can't handle the Leclerc, and that's what we have coming in. So as soon as I spot that Leclerc, the immediate response is to move up an Mi-28 that had been hanging out in the backfield. Previously, I've gotten a kill on, I believe, an M2A2 Bradley, but that's all of the action it seems so far. But this helicopter is about to make his payday well worthwhile. So here he comes, and I think the first shot actually goes in against the first target, the AMX-10P. Yep, and it goes wide. Of course, helicopters, when they're moving, fire with their stabilizer, not with their accuracy, which is a little low. Now we have manually targeted the Leclerc to try and focus down on that tank. 3 points of damage, another missile going in, and veering off to the side. Very, very upsetting while this was happening. I was just terrified, but I do have my own Vasilest mortars in here as well, and they are able to actually stun the Leclerc, so not too much damage coming in there from the mortars. That was actually a missile hitting in as well, but getting stunned is often good enough, and let's see, there's the kill. So there goes the centerpiece of the push, and the Spetsnaz Gru, probably if not for the MX-10 over there, would have been able to do just fine on their own. Spetsnaz fending off the infantry push that came around that side of the woods, and now we have excellent support from the Vasilesks, really doing better than I had expected. There is an Au Noir moving up, and our Mi-2 is being fended off a little bit, but here come the reinforcements, VDV and Skrejits, 3 double squads. Very, very capable units there. Plus, I think I brought something else in those K-29s. Oh, here's the Chasseurs, never mind. Spetsnaz firing that napalm gun is just absolutely brutal. 29 to 21 in an instant. There's a second shot down to 17. And, they're even being shot up by command infantry, which was a bit of a mistake on my part. I should have kept the guns off to keep them hidden. But, alas, I did not. Only Chasseurs left on the open plain. Unfortunately, my Spetsnaz Gru did, I should have moved them back, but I did like that they were drawing fire and giving supporting fire from the front, while VDV and Skrejits moved up to support. These guys will be able to absolutely demolish those AMXs. Here comes the first shot, yep. And the second one won't be long for this world. So the Vasilesks were an answer to the mortars that were already coming at us from the French side. I had intended counter battery fire, then to be honest kind of forgot about them when stuff started happening on the west as well. In the west, not on the west anyway. Bombing runs coming in, Mirage, and I believe another Mirage, could be an Entendard. But, Entendard. And answering fire from the Tungushka, able to nearly kill the Mirage. Let's see about the Entendard. And let's see, half dead. There's the kill. Beautiful. So the Yak-141, a little bit late to catch the Mirage, but wasn't even needed. And mortars demolishing those Chasseurs on the open field. Oh, poor guys. Anyway, so we have even more VDV and Skrejits haven't been unloaded. We have Skrejits moving up here as well. And that was the P4PC that was countercapping in Elena. So we have our +2 back again, and Commandos Para getting wrecked by Skrejits, their support getting killed by VDV. I'm now feeling decently confident we might be able to secure Elena. Counterattacking is often extremely effective in this game because If your opponent has burned some of their resources and you haven't, you have local superiority, or at least the potential for it. Morskaya Pechota moving up, Legion fighting in the towns. There was also fire from something over here, but I unfortunately wasn't able to see it. And yeah, okay, this might have been a little bit not well enough coordinated. Howitzers coming in from my ally, but unfortunately missing the mark, and those Commandos Para are going to town on my VDV, who are unfortunately still crossing open field. Mortars as well coming in and providing, extending that stun right there. Meanwhile, Skrejits are getting shot at, and I figured that was going to happen. There's AMXs in these woods, and I just wanted to see, maybe we can sprint to safety here, maybe we can get some friendly fire, maybe we can just make our opponent feel like he's getting pushed so hard he can't really do much. And meanwhile, Justin's actually moving forward, so there are some vehicles now moving up into these woods. More Lecha Pechota to replace what was killed here along with Proletari, and they're prepping for the second American offensive on that side. Most of my men have kind of been mulched here. Regular Legion, being able to take us from the side, killing almost all of the Morskaya Pechota. We do have a second group of VDV coming in, and we are able to take out that bomber once again. And here come the Vasilevsks. Vav's moving up on the side, and I thought to myself, okay, this is probably more infantry reinforcements that needs to die. But I was also kind of distracted providing counter battery fire against those AMXs. So VDV able to get one kill. It's actually really impactful if we just pause for a second here. VDV have 24 AP on their gun. Vabs have 1 frontal armor, which means that when those VDV make contact with the Vampire, that's going to kill not only the transport, but also the infantry unit inside, as the rollover damage goes straight through to the infantry disembarking. It's almost like 40k rules when things blow up, but, well, fewer dice. I actually completely missed during the game and now during the replay as well when my forces on this side were pushed through. That M1A1 Abrams would have been devastating had it kept going, but unfortunately he does not, and our Vasilevsks are able to tie down those Vabs and Legion more than well enough. Skrejit even stunning this AMX-10, but unfortunately this is looking a little bit light. I'm bringing in more BRDM-3s for more in-depth scouting, but that AMX-10 RCSB is in a pretty good position to make our day not so great. So I try and move back around. I do lose a BRDM. I'm really not happy about that, because this guy, I mean, 40 points, killing 35 points, that's pretty efficient in terms of our opponent's kills in that area. So we do have a second offensive coming in here from the US Marines and Light Riflemen, but fortunately Lecha Pechota and Proletari, as well as a forward position Svatava, are able to fend that off decently well. A10A Thunderbolt gets some good kills in the Dyna, but is countered by Yak 141. Now these guys, Thunderbolts, 140 points worth of plane there, carrying 6 electro-optical missiles, can be absolutely devastating. Wink wink nudge nudge, don't remember the earlier Modernas at all, don't know what you're talking about, but we're actually able to get this AMX-10 not with BRDM, not with any sort of tank, but with the Vasilevsks. So they were the ones that forced him out of the woods, and here comes another round of fire as we lose another BRDM-3. This guy, this AMX-10, is more than made up the cost paid for him, but there's the stun, there's the kill. Mortars in force, man, they can do some stuff. Commandos Para still holding on, Legion still holding on, even against reinforced VDV. It's unfortunately just not enough, even with Mi-28s providing Sakhalos missiles against their transports. We do finally take one of them down with the Vasilevsks, and here's another offensive on this side, but it's a little bit too little too late. There's a Strop 2, actually double Strop 2s now, coming in, and the Lecha Pechota have established such a hard point, it's going to be really difficult to get around, but these Modernas, 160 points each, take it right on the chin from Thunderbolt. So first volley, second volley, third volley, 320 points gone in a heartbeat. This is why super heavy tanks should probably be spread out. But I mean, they provided excellent fire, they were a distraction, they definitely did provide some worth to holding this hard point, and that can't be underestimated either. So now we're at 450 points out of 500 with still a +2 ticking, and we have Tiger Hads coming in, shortly reinforced by Tiger Haps from the French player as he's trying desperately to overwhelm my infantry here and push us back toward Elena. And I'm running dry on points here now, so I've called in as much as I can, waiting on more to arrive, and the Tungushka is able to shoot at some of the Tiger Had, but not all of it. Able to get MI2 finally forward enough to take down the support from that side, and let's see, one Tiger Had's gone. The missiles don't have line of sight. Rafal in the air preventing my Yak from doing anything. Although I think I go for him, and this is a big mistake. So the Tiger Haps are able to dodge Tungushka's missiles. I did move him, but here comes the Yak, and let's see it. One missile away. One missile taken on the chin from the Rafale, and let's see, evac ordered, but one missile in. Ooh, does he survive? No. He does not survive. That Patriot just... oh, brutal. So the Yak goes down just as I thought he was finally going to be able to get out. He's not. There is a bit of an offensive coming in on the western side here. This probably should have been earlier because those T-72s won't be able to stand up to a dedicated infantry push, and this position was not very securely held. But it's a little bit too little too late as we finally round 490 points. Just to take a big zoom out in the field, we didn't have to hold all that much into our opponent's land to get the victory either. Holding Elena, holding Michael, contesting Gregory was able to recover from that 174-point deficit and take the victory. So, to Lowing and Vimes, very well played, excellent game, always a pleasure. If we do take a look at the kills and losses here, the blue team was able to get 3,400. Ooh. Sorry for that. It's usually traffic noise, but that's an ambulance. 3,415 points worth of kills for the blue team against 5,045 kills for the red team. We did come out about 1,500 points ahead, and lots of that will be in just the pure infantry grinds that happened over on the eastern side. So if we take a look, Lowing just, I mean, he threw everything he had at the wall, and unfortunately it just kept getting shoot through and shoot through and shoot through, even despite a number of really good value trades that he had, particularly in the town-to-town fighting. Very good support as well in the town. Just a little bit too little, a little bit too late. Anyway, standout units include first BTR-90, probably the BRDM-3 that was forward as well, got the kill on the French command vehicle, yep. Mi-28 got a kill on the Leclerc, as well as an M3 Bradley. Oh, that's the cheaper version. No, that's less exciting. As well as the Yak 141s, got their value in pretty well. This was the bombing run against Vimes, which was okay. Tungushka M, probably the highlight of the show. Just Pirates, Celtics, Gazelles, Mirages. I mean, that's a plane. Tiger Hads, Tiger Haps, all just very nice kills, and was a nuisance on the front line for the entire game. Alright, well that's all we've got for now. Thank you all for hanging around, and we'll see you again real soon.